Lee, and I am never quite sure if I'm live. I think I am, and I'm very glad to be here. It's it's always an amazing weekend when it's first Friday because I get the opportunity to uh, do my live show on first Friday evening, and then I get the opportunity to do this show afterwards. So uh, quite a change of pace too, because this is super easy. All I have to do is hit a button on my phone and start talking, and I'm on live versus setting up cameras and setting up drones and setting up all that kind of stuff. So just want to make sure everybody can hear me out there. Hey, what's up, Roosevelt? Good to see you. Drone Shots, Brandon Rain, good to see you. Hey, Sean, good to see you. Trelp, hello, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Um, I thought I saw Joe Blaylock in there earlier. That's awesome. Third Eye View from Killeen, Texas. It's pretty hot in Killeen, Texas right now, as it is in Austin. And hey, AJ Franklin, thanks for joining the flight crew. I just saw you jump in, so thank you very much. For everyone who doesn't know, if you are a member of the flight crew, you get a free ticket to Spin Up. And now Spin Up is an event that you can watch for free, so you don't really need a ticket. But if you do get a ticket, you can win prizes, and that's the big difference between a regular ticket and somebody who just wants to watch. All good, both sides, but the prizes are going to be pretty amazing, and the ticket price is actually pretty cheap. And actually, if you just join the flight crew and you get your free tickets, then it's all good because that's actually the cheapest way to go. And there's also Spin Up Heroes who will be kind of helping to offset the cost of the event. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about Spin Up too long. I am going to talk about Roosevelt, Mr. Fly Natural, who just hit me with the super chat. Thank you, Roosevelt. I'm sorry you missed last night. Random Family Man, I see Spin Up is a drone event. This will be our third year for doing it, and super excited. And Nurk FPV, I see you in the chat. Hey, how's it going? No, I'm going to call you in just a second, so no worries there. And I won't be my normal number. It's going to be a different number. But for everyone who doesn't know, we have Nurk FPV who's going to be joining us today. And man, we've got a lot to talk about. I promised him I'd keep it to an hour. Plus, for everyone who is watching after this, Artco Drone Solutions has his live stream. So I'm going to try and finish up right around 6 o'clock Central Time. So if you want to jump over to Artco's channel, you can. So let's see if I can bring in Mr. Nurkkala, who is waiting patiently here. Let's see. I just hit the little button there. Oh, I think I just hit it and then I hung up. This is such a weird thing to be doing from your phone, but it's pretty cool tech. All right, there it goes. Now it's ringing. Let's see if we get it. I see two little dots. That's a good sign.
Yellow, this is Paul.
Hey, this is Pizza Hut. We're looking for your house. We were trying to bring you your delivery.
Did you get that gluten-free action?
The gluten-free pizza. A man who likes his cider and his pizza gluten-free. How you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
Fantastic. Very, very well. I have been using COVID as a reason to get really good at tiny whoops, or I should say, way better than I was at tiny whoops. So that's been really good. Yeah.
That sounds perfect.
Well, and now that it's hot, flying inside is a good thing, but getting out for some early morning on the bigger drones. But I saw you had a newbie drone at one point. You had which one was it? The B-Brain?
Yeah, I've got a couple of them actually. I have both the B-Brain Pro, which I think is the brushless one, and I also have the brushed one. Actually, I think I have two of them.
Do you notice a difference between the brushed and the brushless?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The brushless is too fast for me for like tiny whoop style tracks, right? Like when because if you think about how your perspective on a drone, like when you're flying FPV, never changes, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're flying a 5-inch or a brushed quad, like it's all the same like scale speed. So like when I'm flying a 5-inch quad on 6-foot gates, it's the same as flying a brushed quad on 6-foot gates, right? It would be the same thing. So like when you're flying a brushed quad as fast as you can, you're still having to hit these gaps that are only like, 2 feet across or something like that. So for me, I have to go slow with tiny whips because I'm not used to that scale speed factor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and I've heard you say, and maybe it was Gab that says, smooth is fast and fast is smooth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a Gab saying? Well, so I'll back up a little bit. I'm assuming I made the assumption that everybody knows who you are. I did do a live stream last night, a regular one via video, and told everyone you would be on today. Nurk is a amazing member of the FPV and drone community in general. He's a great creator on YouTube, and it's funny because I used to just kind of think of you as a drone racer, but now I think of you as a filmmaker. I think of you as an interviewer. I think of you as a social media guy. I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff these days. How's your life been for the last 2 years?
It's progressively getting busier and busier, it feels like. I've been trying to push on 3 different avenues at the same time, right? You got drone racing on one aspect, so like competing in the drone racing league on NBC and all that. I've got contract filmmaking, so using drones on sets and working on commercials and all that kind of stuff, or documentaries. And then I've also got the content creation side and just like YouTube videos and all that. And I've been trying to push each of those pieces of that whole puzzle independently, because I think that each of them kind of informs each other, right? Like the more that I go drone racing, the more calm I am on set under high pressure situations. And
True.
The more I make, YouTube videos, the more I learn, the more I have opportunities to bring something to set or to a race. And, each of them, builds into the overall, not just Nurk FPV brand, but who I want to be as well, just as as a working professional. So it's been fun and continually busier, because that in order to push each of those things, you got to find how to one up yourself each time. So it becomes challenging, but it's good.
Well, as busy as you are, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to this audience today and to do it in this format. It's kind of funny because I still have my quote unquote normal job that I've been doing for pretty much since I got out of school. But now I do this side thing. Could you imagine trying to explain to your grandparents or your parents, what you do for a living? Like, or even explain if you could go back 10 years and tell your future self what you'd be doing your past self what you'd be doing for a living, would it blow your mind?
Absolutely. I mean, there was no point. I was lucky enough to capture the moment on video where I realized that I might have a shot at being the best at something in the world. Like, I had kind of, before drone racing, like resigned myself to just be an average programmer for the rest of my life, instead of deciding to find something to attack and to really be good at. So it's been, there was a very clear point where I went from, no, I could never do that, to, okay, I have to go for this.
And that's one of the things about drones, whether it's FPV or camera drones, or RC in general, is I feel like it gives a lot of people an opportunity to do something that you don't have to be the world's greatest athlete, right? You don't have to be tall, you don't have to be short, you don't have to be, you really just have to be able to focus and have a passion for it. And I think that's why people love this so much.
Absolutely. It's truly a meritocracy. There's
right.
There's few other things in the world where, once you put the goggles on, everyone's the same person, right? It doesn't matter, what your race is or your background or your creed. Like, we all share this kind of common narrative of, flying drones and crashing drones and building drones. And once you hear someone fly, like, all of the story that they've been through, the trouble that they've had to get to that point, and that brings people together.
Absolutely, man. And we need more of that right now for sure across the whole world, I would say.
100%.
So let's talk a little bit about the DRL SIM Racing Cup. You've been participating in that, and how is it different flying on the sim? And I know the physics on the sim are amazing because I've done it. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw this, but I had my son he wanted to do this 10 days of an hour a day on the sim, and he went from not being able to fly unstabilized acro mode to like he went from like 7 minutes. I'm sure you know the map, the shipyard map. You know the one. Yep. It took him like 7 minutes to do the shipyard the first time, and now he's doing it in like 50 seconds. So, right. yeah. I mean, it's just amazing how much. But how is it different for you as more of a IRL in real life drone racer to do the sim?
Yeah, so just to kind of start out with a couple things on that is so we have the DRL SIM Cup presented by FanDuel,
right?
And we've basically been filming this whole series for NBCSN. So we're filming races in the sim. We're putting it out on NBCSN. We're putting everything on FanDuel, so you can go and bet on all of the races and everything that's going on in them, and win real life money on it. But then, what is even more exciting to me is that the pilots are not taking any winnings or proceeds from these races, but instead the Drone Racing League is making donations on our behalf for COVID to direct relief. So, not only is it an opportunity for us to, create some entertainment in these strange times, but we're also finding a way to have it make an impact in the world around us beyond that.
That's awesome.
So that all is, that's the goal of it. But on a more micro level, we're basically taking 12 of the most competitive people in the world and just compressing them into the simulator. And now you're saying all right, now you got to race. And I mean, it feels like a normal event, right? Like everybody is taking it extremely serious. We're, pushing as hard as we can. At the end of the day, we know that, it's, we're not doing it to further ourselves. So we get to have a little bit of fun with it too. So, throughout the series, you'll see us kind of really ribbing each other a little bit more. And we talk to each other during the races, trying to get each other to mess up and stuff like that. And it becomes this different kind of mind game than what you're used to with, IRL flying. Because you are wearing headphones and directly wired into each other's brains to be able to kind of talk trash and trying to get your competitors to make mistakes.
Oh yeah, I've been watching on Twitter actually, and it's amazing. The production, I have to say too, the DRL's production team does such a great job of the real races, and now this feels like you're watching a real race, and it's cool because you're racing real maps, right? These are places where there've actually been real races, which is super cool.
Yep. Yeah, but we also get to take advantage of the fact that we are in the simulator and make it a little bit more, you take a normal DRL map and then kind of turn it to 11. That's kind of the style of maps that we've been building for the sim, and it's been really, really fun to fly them. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you too. Last summer, I had the opportunity to go to Munich, and I went to the BMW place where you guys had raced, and I was just kind of, I was standing in different spots, looking. Oh yeah, this is where they raced. But now when I fly on the DRL Sim and I fly the BMW facility, it's it's so realistic for having been there. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly where this is. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. No, that blows my mind every time I get on the simulator. It's like, wait, I stood right here. I know exactly what this is. It's pretty bizarre. It's fun to kind of nitpick too, find the things that the devs decided not to add or did or didn't add. You're just wait, there was definitely a light pole right here that was in the way that all you everybody that's flying the sim that gets it easy now.
Yeah. You want the game to be fun, not so impossible. But I have to
absolutely.
say, it's been a great. It has been a great opportunity. It has been a great opportunity to being home more often just to throw that on every so often and play. And so for everyone who hasn't tried the DRL sim, and there's other great sims out there too, don't get me wrong. I know people get kind of a little protective of their favorites, right? I really like Liftoff.
Territorial,
yeah. I mean, they're all really good, but I like the DRL sim because of the fact that I watch DRL, and so it's fun for me to see this and to know that, you know, I'm having an experience similar to you guys, you know, because, you know, I'll be honest, I look up to you guys as pilots. So, hey, so speaking of flying FPV, there's a video that's been out for a little while now, but I've always wanted to ask you about it and I never had the chance. That flamethrower video, what is it like to blast a flamethrower? First of all, just to do it, not to fly through it, but to hold it. Is it hot?
No, not at all. I mean, like, you feel like a heat wave. Like, so like so what Kelly is referencing is I put a video out, I don't know, what was that, back in like November or something, of a flamethrower, and it's from a company called throwflame.com. And they make flamethrowers that they sell to, about half of them to like fire departments for training, a quarter of them to like special effects departments for movies, and then a quarter of them to rednecks. and we basically shot the flamethrower off and timed it with a flyby of the drone, and I used the drone to film at 120 FPS, which is, you know, 4 or 5 times slower. Like, you could slow it to 4 or 5 times slower than normal, and you made these really cool shots that actually ended up going viral, which is really, really nice. But I got to shoot the flamethrower as well. And so basically how the flamethrower works, and this will help explain it, is it's basically just filled, there's like one canister filled with basically just straight diesel, and you can mix other things into it to make it a little bit more like sticky, but like for the most part it's just diesel gasoline in the tank. And then there's another CO2 pressurized tank, and then there's a butane tank. The butane is just the pilot light. It's just lit so that when the diesel passes over it, it ignites the diesel that's kind of been aerosolized, and all the CO2 just creates pressure on the diesel in the main tank, and so it just shoots out as like a liquid stream. So to be honest, shooting a flamethrower feels very much like shooting a really big super soaker.
Oh, really? Really, like, kind of got a little bit of does it have a little bit of kick to it?
It was not a kick as much like if you have if you take your hose and you put like the pointy nozzle on it, like the jet nozzle. It's like that. It's like that kind of pressure.
Okay.
So because it's not like crazy. It doesn't explode out. It just lights on fire after it leaves the device. Does that make sense?
It was such a long flame. I mean, it looked like it was 20, 30, 40 feet. How far does that thing, what's the range on it?
I think he said he can get the range somewhere between like it was like 40 to 70 feet, somewhere in there, depending on the fuel mixture. But yeah, so I think that day we were shooting at like up closer to 60 feet.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't seen this video, it is really cool, and it's also pretty amazing that the drone was able to survive the passes. And you know, the biggest thing too for me was the timing, right? You had to hit the timing just right each time. So I know you probably did a lot of takes to make it work like that, but the footage where you actually nailed it was pretty sick.
Oh, it was. We thought it was going to look cool, but we kind of thought it'd be like, that's kind of cool. But then we played it back and we're like, oh my goodness, this is so sick.
Yeah, I know, and you know, it's kind of a little bit annoying for other YouTubers when people raise the bar like that, right? I mean, it's like, all right, how am I going to top that? How's anybody going to top that? It's
yeah.
So speaking of topping and speaking of like big opportunities, I noticed I actually made my family sit down and watch. Well, let me back up for a second. We have subscribed, my family has, and this is because I didn't want my kids just watching trash TV all day, but we subscribed to Masterclass. Have you ever seen Masterclass?
Okay. I've seen stuff. I've not had a chance to watch any of them in particular.
It's very cool. There's, you know, world famous subject matter experts in all different fields, right? I mean, they have, one of the guys is actually Aaron Franklin, who's from here in Austin, Franklin's Barbecue. Did you have a chance to try Franklin's barbecue, by the way, when you were here?
I don't think so.
Hey, so if you come back to Austin, we have to go to Franklin's barbecue. It is the best. It is honestly, and I think barbecue is naturally gluten free, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, the only thing that could be is the sauce, but
well, Franklin's, you don't even need the sauce. It's
okay.
just amazing. But anyway, he does a module about making barbecue, you know, and it's really, I mean, it's way more involved than I would ever do, but it was fun to watch.
Sure.
Anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson does a topic module about kind of reality and physics and astrophysics and the universe and all this stuff. And he is such a good speaker. And you had the opportunity to go fly a drone in his office. Dude, so I made my kids watch that because we had watched the master class with him, which, by the way, if you do watch one of the master classes, his is a really good one. But we watched that of you flying in his office. Were you just nervous thinking that, you know, probably those models and those awards and all that stuff he had around were pretty irreplaceable, man? If you'd gone a little nutso, it might have been bad.
You know, I did have that thought, but what was funny was how kind of like laissez-faire Neil was about it, and I addressed him as Neil because that's how he wanted to be addressed.
Okay.
I mean, it's Dr. Tyson, but you meet him, and he's just like, hey, I'm Neil, you know, and then you say, oh, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Tyson, and he's like, no, it's Neil. I'm like, okay.
Well, call me Mr. Nurk, please.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we would be flying, and he'd just be like, "Oh, make sure you go over, hang out by that original, you know, XYZ painting." And I'm like, "Oh God, no, we're gonna be a little more careful than that." He's like, "Oh, it's fine, we can get another one." I'm like, "No, you can't. That's like."
well, and then, that thing where you flew it into the bag at the end, right?
Yep. That was Neil's idea, 100%. 100% his idea.
You would have made news if you had hit him. If you had hit Neil deGrasse Tyson with the drone, that would have been national news for sure. But fortunately, you were flying. It looked like a Squirt 2. Is that what it was?
Yep. Yeah, it was a Squirt.
And you had Andy Shen there with you too.
Yep. Yeah. Andy lives in Manhattan, and the Hayden Planetarium is just off of Central Park. And actually, I don't know if we showed it on camera, but me and Andy did like 4 or 5 practice runs to make sure that we could get that kind of stunt down before we had Neil in harm's way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's always smart. And you know, you said it a minute ago, and I hadn't really thought about it, but the fact that you've flown under these high pressure races, it really does keep your nerves calm when you're in a situation like that, I'll bet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, you know, when we're flying, it's just another day at the park, right? It's, as soon as I take off, like, we're just having a good time. I'm talking to Neil. We're ribbing about what's going on and having fun. And you know, if you end up having, you know, stress in those situations, then you're bound to make a mistake. So you might as well find a way to enjoy it right away.
And when you're flying in those situations, especially with a Squirt, and by the way, it was right before COVID. It was kind of like early March. A buddy of mine is an amazing mountain biker. He wanted me to chase him with I have a Squirt 2. He wanted me to chase him with it through pretty low trees. And I was nervous about that, only because I didn't want to hit him. There were several other bikers there, et cetera. But it was cool. It was really fun. I'd say I gave it a solid B- as far as my cinematography goes. But you know, the Shen drones, that has those ducted props, so you're pretty safe as far as hitting things, right?
Yeah, I don't worry too much when I'm flying the Squirt. Obviously, take precautions, make sure everyone's informed, like, what is dangerous about the drone versus, you know, what its expectations are, and be very deliberate about the steps of planning a shot, right? Like, I don't usually just, like, if I'm going to be flying around people for a particular shot, it's not going to be I'm just going to take off and go rip it. Like, I'm going to communicate to everyone, this is the process, this is what's happening, this is where the drone's going to go and what it's going to do, this is how I want you to interact with it, and make sure that, you know, all the soft targets are aware of the process and what's going on, so that they can also help make decisions about everyone's safety.
So in that case, are you typically flying angle, horizon, acro? What? How do you fly when you're indoors like that?
I only ever fly acro.
Okay. Okay. Well, I thought you told me once that you did tiny whoops in.
That is true. I do like brushed tiny whoops. I will fly in angle mode because the bounce you always end up bouncing off gates with a tiny whoop. So you want it to just the help. You want the computer to help you get it back in order.
Correct
And
yourself. Yeah.
I would say 90% of people that do like tiny whoop racing, like where it's like in a bar or like those really really tight courses, I would say 90% of those people fly in angle mode.
Okay. So if I joined a tiny whoop race, I wouldn't get laughed at for flying in angle or horizon.
No, the people that fly in acro mode in tiny whoops are the ones that get laughed
Okay, well that's good to know.
at.
So speaking of, I have an invention that I probably shouldn't say out loud because somebody's going to do this, or maybe somebody already has. But if they haven't, maybe we should find someone who can. Call it the Nurk tilt shift or something. Okay, you ready for this?
Okay.
Why doesn't anybody have a drone, or maybe they do? So on camera drones, on a Mavic or whatever, you can roll a little wheel and the camera tilts up and down, right? You can tilt it
Yeah.
straight down or straight up. Well, of course, on a racing drone, you're stuck with a fixed angle of the camera. So if you're flying
Yep.
slow and you got a severe angle, all you see is the ceiling. If you're flying fast and you got a, you know the deal. And I'm
Yep.
telling this for everybody else. What about an automatically computer controlled servo that keeps the camera level all the time? Boom.
Yeah, I actually did that for a video maybe 3 or 4 weeks
What?
ago. Yeah,
Ah,
I took a little servo and I hooked it up to keep the camera. I made it so it leveled it on the roll axis. But actually, even Andy Shen has a frame and like 3D prints mounted to do it on the pitch axis as well. Or either you can do one or the other, and you can
wait.
actually wire that all into. You can have Betaflight predict what that angle is using a function in it called cam stabilization.
Okay, so that would be that would be, I feel like, especially for more novice flyers, that would be such a nice thing to have, right? I mean, just to have that camera. I don't know. I
Yeah,
typically. You don't think so?
well, but you got to think about the downsides too, though. Is like you lose a lot of durability, right? Because you're adding more steps, you're adding more pieces, you're adding more complexity. So if when you crash, you're going to damage this thing, and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't. I like, especially for a beginner, like it's not preparing you for that spatial awareness, right? So like if you can learn how to fly with no assist, you're going to be more equipped to fly better, adding in assists later. It's kind of like, getting the training wheels off, and
Yeah.
then you're more competent and you're able to do more stuff, if that makes sense.
And that was, it's funny you say that. I agree with you there. I mean, there's even the question, at what point are you even not flying anymore, right? I mean, there is so much
Yeah.
automation in camera drones that you're telling it where to go. I guess you're piloting, but you're not necessarily flying, or I don't know, but
You're commanding.
your command, yes. At some point it'll just be voice. Drone, get a picture of that. Go.
No, I want directly wired into my brain.
There you go.
Oh, like a human computer interface where I can just like think and imagine the shot and have it do it.
And it'll do it super smooth, yeah. Until it doesn't, and then your brain fries, right?
That sounds like a good way to go.
Yeah. He died happy flying his drone.
There you go.
Well, so tell me a little bit about that oil rig that you shot on. That was abandoned, and what were you flying to record all that?
Yeah. So I got to be a little bit careful. I can't say who the client was, but
Sure,
I can say the production company that I was with is a company called TAC Gas. And they're this awesome little, maybe not even that little, production company that goes around and shoots for military style tactical kind of companies. So like
Okay.
Aim Point, for example, makes optics for guns.
Okay.
And Gore-Tex makes gloves for combat situations and sort of stuff like that. They also partner with defense contractors and stuff like that. And basically what they do is they go and find these epic locations and film and shoot, really cool content in those spaces for each of these companies that they're working with.
So
they brought me along to fly FPV to add to kind of their repertoire of the footage that they're capturing. And one of the locations that we picked was an oil rig that had been abandoned for about, we went up into the galley because they just left everything there.
Yeah.
Up in the galley, the cereal boxes expired in 2015.
And again, I'm not asking you for details that I wouldn't want you to share, but I'm more interested, like what body of water was that? Was that the Gulf of Mexico, or was that where was that?
That's one of the things that I can't disclose, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, it was salt water. Can you say that?
It was definitely salt water.
Okay. And then I was just curious, does the facility just leave like a ladder there, and so you can just land your boat and just climb up into it, or how does?
Yeah. So what we did, I think the original goal was actually to get a helicopter to bring us in and out, because there's still a functioning helipad on the roof.
Wow.
But that didn't end up being an option, and they wanted to do that because they were going to get a Black Hawk and like use it to for some shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, we pulled the boat up to the bottom of the oil rig, and the ocean was still swelling up and down like maybe 10, 15 feet. So you would actually there was a platform that you could jump to, and you'd have to wait for the boat to kind of pass through that platform and make the jump. But we're also making the jump with like 20 Pelican cases.
Right.
It was quite an adventure.
There's
just no, not by accident anyway.
Okay.
We had some of the shots that we did were with like tactical diving teams, and one of the charter deck hands was doing some spear gun fishing and stuff, which was pretty badass.
Wow.
And then there was just a set of stairs that go from the bottom all the way up to the top.
Well, I have to say that was some really, really impressive flying. And, in my limited FPV experience, I know for me, like making those decisions as to whether I'm going to go through a gap or not and what gap to go through is, I don't have that sort of, I guess, it's kind of like second nature muscle memory for you, but I'll often hesitate. Yeah. And your flow, as you're going through, I'm like, he's not going through that. He's not. Oh shit. He just went through that, and I'm just like, wow. I mean, that to me is that was, if you guys, for everybody watching right now, if you haven't seen, do you know the name of that video? It's just Nurk on an oil rig.
I would say search Nurk GoPlat, like GOPLAT, like gas and oil platform.
Yeah, it was that was pretty cool. That's a fun one. I guess I'm kind of like listing my favorite videos of yours and kind of asking you behind the scenes. So let's talk.
Something I want to say about that really quick is that thought process that you're talking about, where you're like, he's not. Oh my God, he did it. That is like exactly what I want people seeing, right? That's the story that I'm trying to tell with these videos is I want to kind of draw you in like he's not gonna, oh my God, like that, because that creates engagement, that creates something exciting, and it tells the story of that flight, and that's what it's all about, man. I'm really glad to hear you say that you had that experience when you were watching it.
Oh, it was my son, actually. He was the one saying that. He was like, he's not going, oh my God, he just went through that. And yeah. So, and now that he's done a little bit on the sim, like he kind of knows, like he knows that's not as easy as it looks, and you're flying, were you flying a squirt there as well?
There were, in the video I posted, there was some squirt and some 5-inch.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not a tiny drone you're flying. It's a decent sized drone that's going through these
Yeah.
gaps. So did you ever like whack into something? Are there any outtakes from that?
Yeah, there's plenty of crashes, but I mean, you kind of like line up for the shot, do the shot, and then you kind of mess around afterwards, and that's when you usually make a mistake or two.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, there's plenty of bumps, and it usually just ends up like being like I bump an arm with the duct, and it just kind of spins a little bit, and then you keep flying, but it just ruins the flow of the shot.
Well, it's amazing to see, and again, to your point about being a professional drone pilot, being a creator, and then having the ability to get hired to go do these things. I mean, how many people can say they've done something like that? That's pretty awesome.
That was one of the coolest days of flying I've ever had. It was a cool day.
I do want to switch over and talk to you a little bit about a non-drone related thing that I've seen you seem to take an interest in, and that's powered skateboards.
Yeah, dude, now we're talking.
I'll tell you. So I got my first powered skateboard sent to me by a company, which was awesome, a couple of years ago, and it's like magic. I mean, when you stand on it and push the button and it goes, it's pretty amazing how it feels. Now, of course, you're taking it to a different level than just a hub motor or a belt motor driven skateboard. But what did you like? Have you done those before, or is that something fairly new for you?
Brand new. I mean, like I've ridden electric skateboards and little I guess what do they call them, like last mile electric vehicles. Here and there, like especially like the bird scooters or whatever that are downtowns and stuff like that. And I've always loved the experience. And I just kind of started going down a rabbit trail after I built my my jet powered electric skateboard. Did you see that one?
Yes.
Yeah. So my buddy runs a company where he's making some kind of cool experimental drones. And he had a bunch of these leftover electric ducted fan jets. And I took 4 of them, and they each do like 13.5 kilograms or something like that, which is a ludicrous amount of power. It's like 20 something pounds.
Yeah, about 25 pounds. Yeah.
So we're talking like 80 pounds of thrust from these 4 motors. And I built a box and stuck it on the back of a skateboard and made a jet powered skateboard to move around, to cruise around. And I fell in love with like how I felt riding that, even though it was a terrible invention and like it was just inefficient and loud and awkward to use. Like I was just like, oh yeah, I really like this. So I kind of started going down the rabbit hole of, okay, how do I make an electric skateboard from the ground up using, kind of drone parts? Like I did mine with X-class batteries instead of like the 18650s or whatever. And so eventually ended up making a pretty beastly board.
Well, and I will say too, because I've, my experience on electric skateboards is just off the shelf electric skateboards. The Pomelo, and I have this one called the On Park. And what's really cool about the On Park is they've decked it out with LEDs. So if you ride it in the evening or at night, it has like headlights, it has tail lights, it has LEDs, and you can push a button on the remote, they'll change colors so you can drive along. Anyway,
get some underlights.
And it's crazy fast. Like it's way faster. Yeah, underlights, so you get kind of this glow, so you look like you're flying.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I'm curious if you find this to be the same. It's actually pretty tiring to ride an electric skateboard for a period of time. Do you find that after like 15 minutes your legs are kind of like, oh wow?
It's my back calf gets really tired. I don't know why it's my back calf, but that definitely does it. And especially if I take it like on a trail, it's like I'm snowboarding. Like it's like, whew, I'm getting a workout. It's great.
Yeah. And it's funny because you see these people who are commuting on these things. It's 18 miles or whatever. I can't imagine riding 18 miles on. I can't imagine riding 18 miles on one of these things and not just wanting to like fall over dead. Got a super chat from El Smeghead. Thank you very much. 5 pounds. from the across the pond. Much appreciated. What were you going to say?
When I was first testing mine, I took it for a full battery depletion test to see what the range was. I think I did a full 17-mile ride in one go. Yeah, it was great. I was like, this is awesome. I could get all over the place on this thing. And like for a few weeks, I didn't even drive my car. Like I had just gotten a brand new, or not a brand new, but new to me, Mercedes CLS 500, and I was like, nah, I want to ride the skateboard.
was that your won the DRL championship car?
No. It did not cost very much money. Let's put it that way. It's actually broken down right now. I'm looking out the window at it.
Oh goodness!
But
well, the other thing that you've done a few times that I've actually been trying to replicate a little bit. I have a few RC planes, and I that's kind of how I got into this hobby, was flying RC planes when I was a kid. My dad and I built a few balsa wood RC planes. Now those were glow plugs and gas powered motors, and they'd fly for like two minutes or 3 minutes before they run out of fuel. Big, totally different kind of deal. But a ton of fun. I mean, I remember my dad and I, it was definitely the build, crash, repeat kind of thing, or build, fly, crash, repeat. But now with these, with kind of the foam planes and stuff like that, it's much easier. First of all, they're easier to fix. They're easier to get in the air, and a lot of them have stabilization built in. But what seems to be the fun thing is chasing them with drones, right? Trying to get right around them as they're going through the air. I know you've done that a bit, and you've also flown some jets. What is your opinion on flying fixed wing FPV and such?
Well, the first part of my opinion is that I'm really bad at it. So I like being bad at stuff because I like the process of improving. So I've been really enjoying just learning a new side of the hobby, especially. I'm also kind of like starting to tinker with RC cars a little bit too, just because I want to, I like that challenge. So I've got a few different models now. Like I've got, the Turbo Timber from Horizon, which is like it looks like a Cessna. It's a great training thing. I actually just this morning put floats on it because I'm at my family cottage for the weekend.
Nice.
And we have a lake, and I'm waiting for the wind to die down so I can go try that out with the pontoons. So that should be fun. I'll be filming a video. Don't worry, because it's gonna end up in the drink, I think. And then I also you mentioned the jet. The jet is the Viper EVF from Horizon Hobby, and that thing is amazing. Like I've never flown something that like a fixed wing that flies so like locked in as that. And then I took like took FPV with the DJI FPV system, and I put it where I could like see the cockpit. So it kind of felt like I'm like in the cockpit, and it's so satisfying to fly it. Just when you're doing what would be like a 5G bank turn over top of a couple of the neighbors' houses or whatever. Like it's like it's one of the most gratifying experiences I've had in FPV.
So there's a reoccurring theme here, because I remember the Interceptor, the Emax Interceptor. You created a little cockpit where you could see your hands, right? Where it looked like you were driving, which I thought was hilarious. There is something about it when you can actually see like a little bit of the hood of the car or the nose of the plane or whatever in the shot. It just gives you this perspective versus just like, with like a camera drone where you're just seeing the scenery and you don't really get any of the drone itself. And that's why I think putting 360 cameras on top of drones is so much fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's more immersive then, It like there's a time and a place, obviously, for having a completely unobstructed view. But if you're just having fun, right? Like you might as well kind of trick your brain a little more into the experience and just having, it be part of the journey.
Have you seen this thing that I've seen some folks doing this where they're taking tiny whoops and they're putting the and I'm trying to remember the name of it, the little tiny Insta360 camera, the one that
Insta
only
360
shoots
Go.
Yeah, they're putting that on tiny whoops and getting these just crazy shots. Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. I've been playing around with that for a minute now. Newbie Drone beat me to the punch with it. So good on them because they made some awesome products for it right
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah.
And
They have
then
like some 3D printed stuff that holds it on
yep,
and all that stuff. Yeah, actually, I think that was the first place I saw it was on their website. My only hesitation on that, honestly, is the time limitation. Just seems like that would be a bit of a hassle.
you saw that they increased that time limit to 5 minutes, right?
No. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Take
a
my money
killer
now.
product now.
So
I'll send you an affiliate link later.
So basically now with a 5 minute and you're not going to get more than 5 minutes on a newbie drone anyway, or a Emax Tiny Hawk or anything like that. So
yeah.
basically you can do one battery per shot, right?
Yep, exactly. And you could probably shoot like 7 or 8 5-minute clips on the Insta360 Go. Yeah.
Okay.
No, and it does really good stabilization as well.
Oh yeah,
It's an awesome little product.
If anybody, I know a lot of guys in this chat like to fly tiny whoops, kind of as a starter FPV spot. It's definitely the footage in it. That 5 minute is a game changer for me. I'm gonna definitely send me a link and I will go check that out. Now, do you have a favorite tiny whoop that is your go-to?
The newbie drone B-Brain Pro. I prefer brushed over the brushless for tiny whooping. But like if you wanted to like kind of like send it outside a little bit and do that kind of stuff, then I would go brushless.
Well, it's you said this, it's kind of where we started in this conversation. And Ken Heron just gave us a $10 super chat. He wants to know when you'll be back on TNL.
Ken, I'd love to come on anytime.
So I was going to say you were totally spot on about flying brushed versus brushless with tiny whoops. I've received a couple of the Emax racing drones and freestyle drones where you put two 1S batteries together on them.
Yep.
I mean, they're just crazy fast. It's like I really, I had a lot of people because I actually did a review on it was the Freestyle 2 that just came out, the Tiny Whoop Freestyle 2. So I got one of those. I love it. Like it's really made me a better pilot also because now I can fly that. Like I'm getting better at that. But what that does, that makes me better at flying these smaller, slower ones. Basically, after you mess with the really fast ones, and I say really fast, it's all relative, but for a tiny whoop, it's really fast. After you mess with those a little bit, I find that when I go back to like a Tiny Hawk S or something like that, or a Tiny Hawk 2, with the ducts and everything, it feels like a sedan versus a Ferrari,
Sure, yeah.
I
don't get to drive many Ferraris. I'm not, I'm not at that level yet.
Yeah, well, you know how I roll, man. I actually just sold a 2010 Subaru, so I'm yeah. I think people think that all YouTubers make crazy money, but there's a very small subset of people that are like that.
Definitely.
Well, I know that I had hoped so. I'll just give you a little background on this. First of all, what do you think of this format? It's kind of an unusual YouTube format.
I love it a lot. It's the audio only kind of makes me worried a little bit here and there. Just like not like because sometimes I wonder if people coming to YouTube are not coming just for audio. But I also like that it's a radio kind of thing too, where you're just chit chatting and it makes it really easy. I don't have to go set up a bunch of cameras and do all that kind of stuff.
Well, so and that's exactly the sort of purpose of it is it's very quick and easy to do. I mean, imagine if you were on a road trip and you wanted to live stream on a road trip, you could do it, while you're driving. I mean, I'm not going to ask if you're wearing pants right now, but you might not be, and nobody would know the difference, right? So, but no, what I was going to say in terms of this, I had hoped. So I've done shows where I have people call in. unfortunately, I can't have you and a caller on at the same time, but I was hoping to have a few people ask questions over the chat. So I'm just keeping an eye on the chat right now. And Ken Heron did ask about you coming back on. Now, the right answer, the proper answer.
Ken coming in and plugging his own show. That's a real gentleman's move there.
Well, he did put $10. He did put $10 in the till. So I'll
paid
let
his
that go.
due.
But the right answer. The right answer for that, Nurk, is that I'll come back when Kelly co-hosts, when Kelly Shores is a co-host. So
there you go.
Just you don't want to be stuck with some lame co-host that doesn't even fly drones, man. I mean, come on. Awesome. So let's see. We've got Ken. Ken's got a. I bet him $100 he couldn't take off and land in Acro without crashing. I'm editing the video. Oh, he's talking about Dana Williams, his normal co-host. I guess
Dana Williams, the singer.
Dana Williams, he's in the band Diamond Rio, I believe. He's a bass player for the band Country Band from Nashville. Actually, very very good guy. I've gotten to know him over the time, and I'm actually not dissing on Ken Heron's co-host. What do you know about? And if you don't know much, I'll keep it brief. But what do you know about Spin Up?
I know enough to know that it's a drone convention and that I've tried to make it, but I haven't made it yet.
You did record a message for me for the first one, which was awesome. I think that was right around the time we met. And First one was actually at a baseball stadium at the Dell Diamonds minor league baseball stadium in Austin, and it was awesome because we got to fly everywhere in the stadium. Like we had FPV going, we had we had Inspires in the air. There were probably 25 drones in the air at one point, which was really cool, and no crashes. So that was really cool. The second one was here in Austin. It was actually at the Boy Scout headquarters, but this third one is actually going to be virtual. And I don't know if you know this, but DRL is actually sponsoring the third one. They're an official sponsor of it. Yeah. So
no, I didn't know that.
You might get hit up by Melanie to do something for it.
I'm very confident I will, and I'm very confident she's probably listening to us right now. So Melanie, let's make it happen.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I'm super excited. Spin Up is, with COVID and everything, we're doing it virtual this year. I'm going to have a few folks down in my office. I have a studio, my facility where I do my normal work with, it's got fiber optics, so we can do a live stream from there all day. But then we're going to bring in guests remotely. But yeah, I've had an astronaut that spoke. I've had a lot of software developers and industrial drone people, a guy who's a military contractor who is working for a company that did an autonomous landing with a drone on a moving boat. And he talked about that last year.
Wow.
I had, do you know Jason Shepard with Remote Pilot 101? Jason spoke last year. He's speaking again. Anyway,
I think so, yeah.
It's a great crew of people that speak, and so definitely would love to have you on there. And Tim Jackson asking if Spin Up will be virtual. Yes, Spin Up's going to be virtual, and then afterward, actually, Nurk, we're going to do an event, a get together in Dillon, Colorado, 2 weeks after Spin Up, where we're going to get together in person and have a barbecue and fly over a lake in Dillon. Dillon's about an hour east of Denver, or west of Denver. Okay. Sorry.
So I was going to say east of Denver. That'd be
flat.
Boring.
Yeah. No. Dillon's beautiful. It's near Keystone, like the ski area.
I think I've been there actually, or at least driven through or right past or something. So I've been in Keystone probably 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. No, it's we'll have that up there. Anyway, I'll keep you apprised of all that. I really appreciate you coming on, man. It means a lot to me that you're able to do this, and I know it means a lot to the audience here. So thank you. By the way, guys, again, if you're not watching the DRL SIM Racing Cup, definitely check that out. How can they watch that, Nurk?
You can watch the Sim Racing Cup either on NBCSN, I believe. Tomorrow there's a new episode coming out, I believe at 2 Eastern.
Yep.
But it will also be broadcast and then able to be reviewed on Twitter at the Drone Racing League. Both versions are exactly the same, so you can, however you prefer to consume, you can consume. This week's race is going to be pretty awesome. We're doing it at a at the it's the Swatch Math, but it's basically
Oh, yeah.
like a bridge over an ocean with a bunch of rock structures and stuff. So you get tons of crazy vertical stuff. And it's gonna be an awesome battle. So
and then
get on FanDuel, place your bets, and come watch it live.
That bridge has all those vertical wires too, man. It's
Yep.
yeah. I've tried. That's one I have not done well at on the sim at all. It's hard. Well, that's cool. So as far as the regular season, is there any word you can share about that? Is that is that still kind of up in the air at this point, or do you know anything, or can you share anything?
I don't have it. Like it's essentially unannounced at this point. So like, if you asked me this question in January, it would be the same answer, that I don't know. And so current world events aside, I don't know, because it wouldn't have started yet, even in the face of where the world stands right now. So I hope that's not a non-committal answer. It's just a slusher.
No, and I'm only asking because I love watching the regular season, right? I think it's just awesome, and it's it's not, in the past, it hasn't always been super easy to find. Like, I've missed a lot of episodes because I was like, oh, was that on, and where was it? I think now that you're on NBC SN, that helps, and certainly I don't do a lot on Twitter, and so Twitter's isn't my preferred. Anyway, I go there just to watch DRL at this point, to watch the Sim Racing Cup.
Yeah.
So, but it's totally fun. And man, what is it with the new guys coming in and just crushing it?
It's
I'm talking trash here.
It's the nature of competition, though, right? Like, it's guys like that have opportunities to be inspired over time and figure out what they're going to drive for and push for. And the guys that are at the top at one point, have to also figure out how to double down and keep pushing. And if you don't innovate, you're not going to keep up. And sometimes there's a bit of a give and flow and stuff like that. So it's awesome to see what humans are capable of in drone racing, and I hope to continue to achieve to that level as well.
Wow, yeah, and I will say too, you blink an eye, and now you're one of the old guard, right? Which is probably got to be a little bit weird for somebody who's as young as you are, right? I mean,
I'm turning 29 in a couple of days. Like, it's getting old.
Hey, let me tell you, as a guy who, how old do you think I am? Do you have any idea how old I am? You've met me a few times.
Well, let's see. You've got kids, but they're a little bit younger. I think you look older than you are, in a good way, like in a mature way.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say you're 42.
Okay. Any guesses in the audience there in the chat? No, dude. I turned 50 last year.
Oh man. Okay.
I turned. I appreciate the 40. 42 is the answer to the universe, and a great answer when a 50-year-old asks you how old. That's really kind of a crappy question. So, but I appreciate you going that direction instead of 62. Right. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I have to say too that, for me, hanging out with drone people generally, there seems to be a nice age range in drones, right? There are guys in this chat right now that I'll bet are in their 70s. And so, and there's guys in this chat right now that I'll bet are in their teens. And so it's really cool that, that we're all hanging out together, and that, age isn't so much of a factor.
Yeah, no, and that comes back to kind of what I was trying to say earlier, is that, like, drones in general is that, a meritocracy, right? It puts everyone on this level playing field where, it doesn't matter if you're 10 or you're 70, right? You'll see those two people interact as peers because they both have shared the same narrative, and that's what I think is amazing about drone stuff.
Absolutely, man. Well, again, Nurk, I really appreciate it. I'm super excited always excited to get to catch up with you. Thanks to everybody who has tuned in today, and I'm gonna let you have the final word. Any if people could go watch one video on your channel, what video should they go watch?
You know, I'd be tempted to name one in particular, but you know, the goal that I always strive for is to make the the most recent video always the one that I want people to go watch. So you know, go to Nurk TV and whatever is the latest video is the one I'm currently the most proud of. So
Nurk actually baked the most delicious chocolate chip cookies in this video. So if you're into that, you can go watch it. Hey, that would be a good video, actually. Nothing wrong with that.
Got make it with drones or something. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you again for joining today. I look forward to catching up soon. As I said, Franklin Barbecue next time you're in Austin for sure. And I will be reaching out to give you more details about Spin Up soon as well, and hope you can at least join virtually this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. If I don't have an excuse to be in Austin before then, I'm definitely going to make an effort to come to F1 at COTA this year if they let people come to it. So I'll definitely try to make a 4 or 5 day trip down there. So
you just opened a small can of worms. I got to tell you a very quick story, and then I'll let everybody go because I was trying to wrap up in an hour. I got hired by a sports marketing company, actually an automotive marketing company, to fly at COTA for BMW. So BMW brought, it was so much fun. They brought all of their dealers from North and South America to Austin. This was 2 years ago, 2017. They brought all their dealers to North and South America and did hot laps around the track in the new 5 Series that year. And so my job was just to capture it all with drone. And man, I have to say, pretty much everybody there was just like super chill about it. I mean, I was very safe. I wore an orange safety vest. I had all my paperwork in place. I had, and COTA's fairly close to the airport too. So, you know, there's all that to deal with. But that was one of the most fun drone experiences I ever had, was pretty much having access everywhere on the track with my, I took my car, I had my little Subaru, driving around and just get out and get these awesome shots of them coming around the corner. Now I was flying a Mavic. I was flying a Phantom 4 Pro at the time. Yeah. It wasn't, but man, to fly FPV around the COTA track.
Ride the little roller coaster off of the viewing tower down to track level and catch somebody going through turn 15 or whatever. It'll be so sweet.
Well, if you're coming for that, definitely let me know, and I would love to connect IRL, as the kids say.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, thanks again. Great chatting with you. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed it. And one of the things with this, Nurk, do you have a podcast? Somebody told me you had a podcast. Yeah. What's it called?
Yep. It's called The Good Flight, like The Good Flight.
The Good Flight. Okay, like The Good Life or The Good.
Yep.
Okay.
Or The Good Fight. But yeah, flight.
I'm gonna go check out The Good Flight on a podcast, and that's kind of what this is. It's like a mashup between the two. But again, for the third time, I'm just like one of those old people on the phone where you're trying to get off the phone and they keep saying goodbye and then keep talking. So I'm gonna let you go. Thanks everybody for joining. We will see you next time, and take care and fly safe, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, I think I just hung up on Nurk. Sorry about that. But hey, everybody, thank you very much. I'm going to let this go now because I want to send everybody over to Artco Drone Solutions channel. If you want to go check him out, he is doing a live stream starting about 3 minutes ago, and I promised him I wouldn't step on it. So if you guys have the opportunity, go check out Artco. Thanks for tuning in. Really great chatting with Nurk today. Really appreciate him taking the time. And you guys fly safe, and we'll talk to you soon.